Fuck. All right, gentlemen, I'm coming to you now, sick as because this is an emergency video. I have to get this up now because this move I'm about to talk about in this video, I think could happen as soon as next week. I think this chain and I think coins on this chain specifically related to this industry I'm about to speak of right now are about to 10, 15x. It's going to be crazy. We're going to see the actual alt season we've been waiting for. And if all this happens and I don't get this video up, I'm not going to be able to claim clout on Twitter and nobody's going to think I'm cool. So I have to get this up now. So forgive me, I'm going to be a little bit slow today. I'm not going to have as many creative ways to call you a cuckold. But if you can bear with that, in the past, when I pointed out specific industries I think are about to pop off in crypto, it's made everyone a lot of money. Remember when I pointed out AI before that got going? Remember gaming? I think this industry I'm about to point out in this video is about to absolutely shit money. And on top of that, what we're seeing in the market right now is what I think is truly the alt season we've been waiting years for. This means not just this industry I'm about to talk about in this video, but altcoins as a whole, I think, are about to explode. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. Everybody's off sides right now. Everybody's calling tops and being soggy on Twitter, and it's fucking stupid. And while there's always risk, there's a chance we could reverse here, and this has been the top of crypto. I don't think it is. And if you look at all the things I'm going to point out to you in this video, it's hard not to be bullish as right now. And if you look at where all the biggest money in the world is moving, it's really obvious that this industry I'm about to cover in this video, or this specific little niche of crypto and all of its coins, which nobody's in right now, nobody's looking at this. In fact, everybody's dumping all their altcoins, giving it a perfect buy spot. It's pretty damn obvious this industry is where a lot of big money is going to pile into. And these coins, which are a combination of bearish specialism, and it's just a very new industry that no one's really started investing in yet, they're going to go nuts. A lot of gains, number go up, big dick energy, magnum dong, you know the whole spiel. I put it in some funny way to keep your ADHD right now, but again, not feeling too hot. I take off my shirt and call you a cuckold and make some pornographic jokes that involve cum and orgy references, but it's a little difficult when I can't breathe through my nose right now. So you're gonna have to level up here. This one is on you. I know the average IQ of a person that watches this channel is about 5, but if you can just evolve past your 5-year-old ADHD just for the next 20 minutes, nailing this move right now could make you a lot of money. Because not only is it about to happen, but everyone is turbo bearish and the entry prices right now are stupid. And then the industry I'm about to point out is pretty much new. A lot of the coins I'm gonna mention haven't even launched yet. And so unlike my other videos where everybody's rock hard and willing to ape all of their life savings into any coin on the market, you're probably going to have a pretty good opportunity after this video while everybody's all pessimistic and being a bitch right now to get into these coins and actually pretty good entries, which is something you don't usually get. So please focus, because this is probably the most bullish I've been, just overall generally bullish with everything that's going on that I'll talk about in this video. And usually when I get these vibes, the results have been good. Yeah, the results are good. So without further ado, let's talk about this. So first things first, if you're not already following me on Twitter, follow me at ZSS Becker on Twitter. A lot of these coins and a lot of things I'm going to talk about, I've already talked about 1,000 times already on Twitter. It just takes me 2 seconds to write a tweet. If you want to get things earlier and be first, you should follow me there. On top of that, I've released the official schedule for our meme coin drop we're going to be dropping. And this isn't like a meme drop where someone drops the meme coin and gives like 50% to themselves. You should go read up about it. Just post it on my Twitter if you want to get in on that next month. The rules and all the games we're doing are there. I think it will be big. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it for real. So first thing we got to do is we got to talk about the market. So let me find the correct tab. Okay, here we go. So look, if we're looking at the market right now, everyone's super soggy, and I'll talk about why everyone's super soggy here at the moment. I don't think it's a good time to be soggy. I don't think it's a good time to be a watered down, soggy cereal kind of guy, because I think alt season's about to happen. And then if you're new here, you're new to crypto, maybe you're just a retard and don't know anything about what you're doing, by all means, that's the scenario where you want to be throwing your life savings at something. Don't let me stop you. By the way, read the disclaimer in the description. Crypto is financial suicide. You're going to lose all your money. You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you watching this channel? Stop now. Go watch something productive like a cat video, or in the case of this channel where just a bunch of nerds who never get laid, go watch some girl make spit bubbles into her microphone on Twitch. It's way more your speed. But if we must continue, please read the disclaimer. You're going to lose all your money. This is the stupidest thing you can ever do. No one should watch this channel. Terrible content. Okay, so look, I think alt season is about to happen. Nobody thinks it is except for me, but I'm smarter than everybody else, so you should just listen to me instead of them. So look, the reason why we haven't seen an alt season yet is because Ethereum has been lagging. It's been the worst investment in all of crypto. It's been terrible. Everyone hates it. And when alt season occurs, we're going to see all the altcoins do crazy gains. And everybody hates this cycle. Everybody's been getting very, very mad and angry and calling tops because unlike other cycles where we've seen Bitcoin do huge gains and in every other altcoin go crazy, we really haven't seen altcoins do anything yet. And I think that's a little bit silly, and I'll point out why here. Because if we even go back and look at the 2020 bull run, Ethereum really didn't even start to move until, let's go right here. This was very early in January. So you can see Bitcoin did crazy movements, and the big move from ETH didn't come until way later after Bitcoin made its big move. Now, this isn't the same exact thing, and we did see some big gains in ETH right here, but it's not really weird what we're seeing now, especially in context of what's been happening in crypto, which we're here to talk about. And you need to understand this, because if you understand this movement right here, it's going to make the movements in the smaller coins, which you like to trade on this channel, a lot more clear. Yes, I'm going to get into the smaller coins. I'm going to get into the coin picks that you guys all come in this channel. But understanding this overall move right here is essential for you actually succeeding here. So if you can be one of the few non-retards who have just a little bit of patience, this beginning part of the video is the most important part to you actually succeeding here and keeping your money. So all of alt season basically depends on Ethereum. Now, we've seen Solana make huge moves. There's a few reasons for that. The primary driver has been meme season. This has been the #1 place to trade memes, and so that's where tons of action is becoming. That also said, Solana is a far better chain than Ethereum when it comes to fast, low value transactions. It can also be used for large transactions, but there's a lot of things Solana doesn't have that Ethereum does have that is going to make Ethereum the place to go in this next movement right here, on top of a few other things I'm going to talk about. And so this entire run, we've only seen really Bitcoin and Solana make huge moves, leaving everybody who's in all of these be very soggy. And we've also seen AI, we've seen a lot of utility coins make huge moves, but they're all in the shit right now because everybody's just fed up of waiting for these coins to do their turbo pumps. On top of that, meme coins have made absolutely insane moves, but now they're getting super duper soggy because Trump has hit the market and it's down 50%. And if you look at other coins like, I don't know, like Chill Guy or something, these are down ungodly amounts, all the way up from 61 cents to a 90% dip right here. So people are just all around very angry now because their butts are just being anally destroyed by butt plugs covered in sandpaper right now. It's a really uncomfortable time for a lot of people, leaving everybody to be calling tops and saying this is it. And that's just really dumb. Here is why. Again, I pointed out that in 2020, Ethereum really waited until after the election to start moving. Now, we haven't seen Ethereum make its huge move right now for a bunch of different reasons. And all of alt season is basically dependent on Ethereum breaking its all-time high. If Ethereum doesn't pump past $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, everything I'm saying here is off the table and we're all going to be poor, which is fine. For myself, I'll just get back to making no-fap self-help content. I'll act like this never happened. I'll delete all the crypto videos and we'll just move along. It'll be just fine. I know you guys are really edging for me to get back to talking about my masturbation habits. And so you have that to look forward to. You're going to win in this no matter what. Ethereum has been doing very, very badly for one reason. It hasn't improved in half a decade. If you were around last bull run, I don't know if you were, everybody was talking about how Ethereum was finally going to improve and get better. When Ethereum gets at a high level of volume, the gas fees get to stupid levels. It's like $200, $300, $500 just to do a swap. AKA, it's fucking unusable. And so last run, oh my God, Ethereum was just promising, this is going to be fixed. We're going to be able to scale. We're going to be able to do this. Well, Ethereum is still the same piece of shit that it was back then. And frankly, I think Ethereum is going to continue to be the same still piece of shit that it was back then. The problem with it is the Ethereum Foundation and the people running this have done the world's worst marketing. They've gone on record to say, we're not interested in winning, all sorts of other stuff. Vitalik's been on, who's the guy who's in charge of Ethereum. I'm going to spell out everything for beginners here. I know a lot of people watching this video, you know who Vitalik is, you know what the case is. But there's a lot of Uber drivers with $20 to their name that are getting into this right now. And so I need to spell it out for them too. All right, everybody deserves an equal chance to lose all their money here. So we got to take in everybody. So be patient. That said, they've just done a terrible form of marketing. And I think on a technology point, Ethereum is going to continue to be red hot ass, but that doesn't matter because the only thing that matters in crypto is the narrative. And the narrative for ETH is getting hot as f***. Now, like I said, everybody hates Ethereum right now. Everybody's off sides in Ethereum. No one's been buying Ethereum. If Ethereum was just even matching the gains that Bitcoin has seen, it'd be at $6,000 right now. It's literally been outperformed by Bitcoin, leaving people to ask, why in f***'s name when I hold Ethereum when I can just hold XRP or Solana or any of these coins down here? So everybody hates it right now, leading to a really offsides on Ethereum and coins that are on Ethereum. Now look, I got to break something down to you that you probably don't know. Everybody on crypto Twitter and the universe of the crypto community, they're wrong about everything ever. They cannot call this market. If you watch crypto Twitter, you should basically just do the opposite of whatever they're doing. And the way you make money in crypto is by taking the bets that other people don't want to bet or are bearish on. There's never going to be a point where like everybody's super bullish on something and the right thing to do is to hop into it. You make the biggest gains when people are bearish on something, and everyone is super turbo bearish on ETH. And this is about to turn around for a few reasons. One, the marketing I just talked about, and again, I know you're probably not interested in investing in Ethereum in this video. Trust me, this ties down into the middle coins. The coins we're going to see in this industry I'm about to talk about in this video, and the utility coins on ETH are going to be the biggest gainers from what I'm about to talk about. So please, this greatly applies to your get rich quick fast coins that you're super interested in. So please, listen, okay? So there's a few reasons why I think Ethereum is about to pump. One, the narrative for Ethereum is completely shifting. Vitalik is pissed off. They have a new marketing leg occurring, and there's so much other bullish stuff going on in Ethereum. For example, right now, the president is stacking Ethereum like crazy. And if you look at all the institutions like BlackRock and all the big funds and everything like that, they are stacking Ethereum like crazy. And what we need to keep in mind is that when you see these institutions and funds buying Ethereum, it doesn't always translate instantly over to huge gains. If you go and look back at the last year, I don't get why people are so bearish because the price is flat right now on Ethereum. When the ETF launched, we saw this initial pump right here, and then Bitcoin sat at about the same range for literally 8 months. It didn't do anything. For 8 months, we just sat here making crypto content as the market just basically flicked its dick up and down and did nothing. Why is this happening right here? There's all sorts of theories. We can talk about smothering price. We can talk about a billion other conspiracy theories, but there's a few things I'll just tell you right here. A lot of times when these funds and these large institutions make buys, they do it off chain or they do it off market, meaning they buy it without it showing up on the places that really influence the price like Coinbase and whatnot. Now what happens when this happens is that the supply gets radically reduced. And so when the demand for these assets does pop up like it did after Trump, there isn't anything left to buy. What we're seeing in Ethereum right now is we're seeing BlackRock, the president, everybody buying tons of ETH, but they're not going to be buying it on Coinbase or Binance. They're going to be doing it in private markets because if you buy that much all at once, it makes the price go up as you're buying it or allows you to not get into your position because if you're buying over a span of time, the price keeps going up and you keep having to pay more and more and more. They're going to buy it off market and they're going to do special deals where people are selling it to them at 85 cents in a dollar or 90 cents in a dollar because a lot of times it's hard to get that liquidity. You're going to see a lot of giant whales or even the devs or the people that create the coins, they're going to do these off-market trades where it's not technically recorded because it's so hard for them to exit those coins. For example, when Solana has its unlocks right here in about a month, you're probably going to see a lot of the insiders that got into Solana in the seed deals, they're not going to dump their coins on Solana. Let's say they have 100 coins of Solana, okay? And they're not planning to sell their entire bag. Who would? It doesn't make any sense to do that. Solana's probably going to $1,000 this run if we keep running. But they will probably sell some of their coins. If they sell 20% of their coins and it shows up on chain, it's going to take a massive dump if they see the devs or any of the team or anybody like that selling. So of course they're not going to want to do it. They're going to do it off market. That's going to lead to the price not really being impacted, and you're going to see the impact of these buys probably a month from now, 2 months from now. Now all this is happening, yet Ethereum's not moving and people are getting really soggy because there's like good news raining from the sky. And they're thinking, well, if there's good news raining from the sky and we're not pumping, that means we're topped. Does that look like it's true for Bitcoin? We had the ETF pop up. People were buying this shit all year long. BlackRock was just making billion-dollar buys left and right, and the price was moving. And people were like, oh, the ETF has failed. This is probably the top of the market. Okay, no, we're seeing the same exact price action we saw with Bitcoin. And we're seeing the same thing happen with Ethereum. BlackRock and everybody, including the president, is buying it all up right now off market, and we're seeing the price. Let's go back in the last year. We're seeing the price just laggle upon this range right here from $3,000 to $3,500. We're seeing it just farting around right here. Same thing Bitcoin did. And I think that's about to change. I think we're about to see the same movement that Bitcoin did. And I think we're going to see Ethereum around the $5,000, $6,000 in no time. Now, you have to actually look at the overall market right now. And What people are not factoring in this run right here is I see all this TA and I see people looking at the last market and the last run. Yes, we have to go back and we have to look at 2017 and 2020 and all this. But what you need to understand about these runs right here is these were completely filled by short-term traders. Now, look, there's tons of whales and people buying Bitcoin at these points right here. But the vast majority of people buying at these times is one, it was small money. The biggest whale was Saylor, okay, who's just a private investor. Now, he does have a ton of Bitcoin. But what I'm saying right here applies to the market overall. What we saw in everything outside of Bitcoin was smaller investors getting in who are trying to make money fast or get in and make money quickly and don't want to take losses. Now, what we're seeing now in the market is we're seeing massive, massive money. I'm not talking billions of dollars. I'm talking people and funds and governments and countries that manage trillions and trillions of dollars that don't trade in and out of positions. And when these countries start buying, I think we're entering a totally different type of market. I know everybody always talks about some super cycle or this time the market is different, but this time we are not seeing the same type of buyer buying. This whole entire range right here from 40,000 to 100,000 is not fueled by the same people that we saw right here. It's fueled by huge trillion-dollar fund managers like BlackRock and countries and pretty soon governments. As soon as these start happening, or as soon as this happens, we're in a completely different paradigm where I don't know if Bitcoin's going to be doing the crazy radical moves and the 70% dives that we've seen in the past. And what we're seeing is an actual demand for use in crypto. What you're seeing is before, you have to understand in 2020, 2017, most of crypto right now is still all a Ponzi scheme scam, but it's not always going to be. And what we're seeing with Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP and Solana and Cardano, AVAX, and I'm going to talk about Chainlink because this is probably one of the biggest hidden gems right here on the market that nobody's looking at. We're actually seeing use case demand starting to pop up. So in 2020, 2017, nobody used crypto for anything except for trading. There was no infrastructure or anything actually being used. This is very different in this run. With Bitcoin, we are actually looking at huge funds in countries trying to store value in Bitcoin. In the past, people, yes, have been trying to do this, but not to the extent they're doing it right now. We're seeing banks and governments looking into using blockchain technology to actually provide the infrastructure for what we're doing. We're looking at AI companies using blockchain technology to provide the infrastructure. We're looking at RWA, which is what I'm about to talk about, and people moving things like stocks, real estate, actual assets over to blockchains. And so we're looking at a very different type of buyer and buying situation than we were before. Do I think we're still in a bubble and I think that we're probably going to see some crash in the future? Yes, but this could go way longer and way higher than anybody thinks because we're seeing amount of money and type of buyer enter the market that we've never seen before. So again, I think it's retarded to be bearish right now in the face of that. Next, what is going on in the government and right now with regulations is something, again, we've never seen before. One, the US government is literally talking about stockpiling Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen when they start stockpiling Bitcoin with extremely limited amount of Bitcoin that's left? China's going to start buying Bitcoin. Europe's not going to buy Bitcoin because they're retarded and they're committed to being a third world country in 5 years or third world group of countries. So we don't have to worry about them. But every other country in the world that actually wants its citizens to benefit and doesn't want to put them in jail for tweets, where the citizens still have freedom of speech and whatnot, those countries are going to be buying a lot of Bitcoin to catch up with America, creating this huge supply shock right here. Next, Trump absolutely loves crypto. They are not even hinting at removing tax for US cryptos. And I think Ethereum or Bitcoin, I think it's unfathomable that they won't be in that category where there's no tax on that. Doge, US government agencies are looking into using blockchain for their infrastructure. And then banks, BlackRock funds are all buying this up right here. What we're seeing in regulation-wise is something, again, we've never seen before that is going to be insanely bullish and drive actual investment strategies into things like Ethereum, which is probably going to be the main network for a lot of these things, and I'll talk about why here in a second, or at least L2s, or bare minimum, the narrative is at least going to be there, which is all we really care about. I don't even know if Ethereum is going to be here next run, but this narrative right now applies to it right now, and that's all that matters. And again, this all ties into pumping Ethereum past $4,000, $5,000. As soon as that happens, all the things that we are invested in, all the smaller coins we want to get in, are going to go nuts. So this all ties in this. We're really relying on ETH, and the funding for ETH is not going to come from retail investors looking to get rich quick. It's going to come from huge institutions and governments, which will then send all the retail investors and the people that we PvP against and all the liquidity that we use for our coins into all of these. Because big money is looking to invest. Right now, a lot of the smaller money has been absorbed by meme coins. I mean, Trump came in and ate like, I don't know, $20 billion worth of rough value in its first day, which then sucked all liquidity out of other meme coins. So these are the gamblers. These huge money funds are not looking to gamble. They're not looking to buy fart coin. And I'm not calling any tops on meme coins. I'm not saying meme coins are dead. They are definitely hurting right now. But meme coins are unpredictable, and I won't even try to predict them. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not going in the meme coins. Meme coins will definitely benefit from all of this though, but we have to look at what's actually going to fly and undervalued. By definition right now, meme coins are not undervalued. I don't know where the top is on them, but they're not undervalued. Solana is not undervalued right now. Ethereum and the utility coins underneath it are wildly undervalued, particularly ones that are based around investing. So look, when Ethereum pops off, these alts are going to fly. That also being said, coins that tie into the narratives and what the big money is doing are going to turbofly. This is going to be RWA coins and AI coins. AI coins, I would not say are undervalued right now. They are definitely down. For example, if we look at something like Dester right now, it's down from where it was. Okay, we're at, where was it at? 52 cents. So we're almost at a 50% drop on Dester right now. It's definitely down, but we're seeing a lot of good AI coins still holding around 50 to 100 million caps, and they're ready to make their next leg up here soon. I think all the AI coins we talked about on this channel are going to turbo fly because the functionality of them on blockchain is just undeniable. It's better infrastructure for AI. Also, you want your AI to be decentralized. Again, Ethereum is really the only network in the top, and people could argue a little bit that Cardano has this, and as much as I want to make jokes about Cardano, I'm having trouble breathing through my nose right now, so I'm just not going to do it. Cardano holders are cuckolds. Other men their wives. Yay! I did the thing. All right. So look, Ethereum, the one thing that Ethereum has on it that other chains don't have is true decentralization. I've read that it's more decentralized than Bitcoin. I don't really read about the tech and crypto because I don't care. I only care about the narratives. I care about what's going to pump. And so once I understand the narrative, I'm really not researching the tech. But Ethereum is very, very decentralized, meaning no one's able to go into an admin panel and turn it off, which gives it very distinct advantages. For example, if you put your house on blockchain, you don't want some woke kid that works at Reddit to be able to go into the admin systems and turn it off or block the transactions you're doing. You don't want the government to be able to come and take away your house NFT. Everything else right here, I guarantee you, the government goes after Solana and says, hey, you got to stop this guy from transacting. Solana will just go into the admin panel and turn it off. Now, that's fine, Solana, if we're buying a cup of coffee or we're trading a meme coin, that's fine. Who cares? If you have an NFT worth millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, which we'll see in the future, yeah, that's kind of a big deal, which is why you want your AI infrastructure on something like the L2s or the L1 of Ethereum. You can't have your entire company or something that needs to be trustworthy on something that's controlled by an admin panel. And so I think AI coins, of course, are going to fly. I'm just going to state right now, they're probably not undervalued right now. I think they're at fantastic buys. For example, if you look at something like Vertical AI, which is a great coin, it's down 50% right now, allowing people a giant good entry on here. And that's the same with a lot of AI coins we've talked about. Watch my last AI coin video. There's a lot of cool coins in there. But where I think the big giant undervalued narrative is right now is RWA. So what are RWA coins? And how does this tie into everything I'm talking about? So what are RWA coins? Well, first and foremost, they're boring, which is why they're undervalued right now and no one's paid attention to them. Look, Fart Coin, Trump Coin, Peanut the Squirrel Coin. I'm actually a big fan of Peanut. I really hope that coin makes a comeback. They're very exciting. AI coins, very sexy, very exciting. RWA coins are like an 80-year-old's dick. No one's interested in that. But if you don't know, 80-year-olds control most of the money in this country, so this dick is still very valuable. So let's hop on. All right, so look, I'm going to take it down for a second. We're going to stop talking about your grandparents. But look, RWA coins are really simple. So let's imagine you go and you get a bunch of houses, okay? You get a big old investment portfolio of commercial real estate. This is all commercial real estate buildings, and it's worth $1 billion. Okay, so I don't know if you ever invested in a commercial real estate fund or anything like that, but it's a pain in the ass. It's not something you could do if you're not a serious investor. And the best ones to get into, you got to know people at the firm. You got to talk to them. You got to go then lock up your money. There's no way you can trade in and out of it easily. It just doesn't work like that. So a really good, easy example of RWA is if you put all of these on chain, you converted all of these into NFTs, and then if people own a certain amount of a coin or they own the NFTs, they have a potential ownership of this. So what you could do is you could put this NFT, let's imagine we have one building right here and you just convert it to an NFT, okay? An NFT has 100 coins. And if anybody buys all 100 of the coins, they then control the NFT. Okay. And so whoever has this NFT controls the asset. Thus, if you own like 1% of the coins, you in theory own 1% of the asset. And so what people could do is you say, I'm making a real estate fund. It's an NFT, or you buy a giant $10 million building in downtown, wherever, and you say, we're converting it to an NFT. We're going to put all of it on chain, and we're going to convert a fund where the coin represents ownership of the NFT. And on top of that, what you can easily do is when the building generates revenue, it goes through the NFT, and the NFT looks at who has the coins, and it distributes the revenue to the coins, turning what used to be a very complicated, hard to access thing into something that anybody could do. Anybody watching this video could go and get 0.1 ownership of a skyscraper. And in this video, I'm going to constantly keep going back to real estate because it's just the easiest way to describe RWA. But you have to understand, you can turn anything into an RWA asset. You could turn a farm. You could go and release a song or music and then charge for the music rights via the RWA. You could turn your private equity venture capital firm into RWA. Anything that you see going on in traditional finance or people are allowed to buy into in the real world that is wildly, usually inaccessible to most people can be turned into something RWA and facilitate all of this. And so this is going to be an absolute revolution in how people manage financial technology or finances in general. So I'm using a lot of big words here to make it sound important and make it seem like I know what I'm talking about. I'm smart, but this is game changing in terms of everything finance. So please, as I mentioned, any of these, think of all the things that you see going on in the world. Hell, the rent you pay, insurance, all that can be turned into RWA assets. And so this is why it's so huge, because that's where all the most of the money in the world is. It's not all stored in little tech companies. I know we look at like tech companies like Apple and Facebook and think those are huge, but most of the money in the world is in all this boring stuff. And that's why this boring industry inside of crypto, I think, is going to be giant. It's not that complicated, and it's really one of the best use cases for crypto. Now, what we're seeing all over the place right now is demand to do this in all asset classes. Gold, okay? For example, Larry Fink, head of BlackRock, was literally talking about doing this in stocks and how he really wants to do this. For example, you could literally just make an ETF without all the hassle and BS that comes with normal ETFs. People could buy into it and sell out of it, and the fund could easily make money in so many different ways by just taking a percent or a fee for every trade. They could go and make it via NFTs, okay? And then take a transaction of every trade. Hell, they could just hold the coin themselves. There's so many things that could possibly be done here. So all real world assets all RWA is converting real world assets and traditional finance into blockchain, which is where all the big money is going. We have banks, we have governments, we have funds, we have Pokemon, we have everybody that has giant amounts of money in the world looking to do this and investigate doing this because it's a great way for them to make money. It frees up and makes the transaction so much easier. And then you can easily go and convert your Bitcoin into an ETF. You convert your ETF into real estate. You could convert your real estate into art all seamlessly with them collecting fees the entire way around, which I think is really their big play. This is where big money wants to be. This is not fun. This is not very exciting for retail investors, but for BlackRock and giant money and governments, this is fucking amazing. This is the hottest thing they've ever seen. So I think RWA is going to go insane. So that in mind, the reason why I like RWA so much right now is it's completely slept on because it's so damn boring. Everybody hates RWA. They hate utility coins. They hate Ethereum, where it's primarily going to take place on. RWA, I don't see happening on Solana. Solana would be great if we're like trading Pokemon cards or something like that. But if I have a skyscraper downtown, we're not going to put it on some chain that has an admin panel. If I get a bunch of houses and I put it on chain, I'm not going to put it on. If I get a art portfolio of $200 million worth of art, I'm not going to put it on a chain as an admin portfolio and can move those around or block them or do anything like that. You're going to put it on Ethereum. Now, if we're looking at coins that are going to be incredibly important to this. So if we go look at it, let's just talk about a few coins that we would do this on. Chainlink, okay? Why Chainlink? Everybody sleeps on Chainlink, but Chainlink is single-handedly probably one of the most important coins in all of crypto. All the transactions, all the things that go on Ethereum, everything's going to be happening in RWA. Most of the things going on in AI, they all rely on Chainlink. So why is Chainlink not pumped to the moon. Well, it's $16 billion market cap. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty high market cap. But this thing should be at hundreds of billions. It's one of the most important coins in crypto. It's more important than every other coin in the top 10, outside Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's essential. And the reason why it hasn't pumped is because it's boring. It's actual utility. Nobody cares about that. It doesn't have the word fart in it. It doesn't have a fun, cute animal as a logo. It's just this boring oracle that facilitates all the transactions that we see going on in crypto. You have to use it. And once this takes off, once Ethereum starts pumping, once RWA gets a thing, this is going to go bonkers because the demand for it is going to drive it. And the biggest thing that's going to drive pumps in crypto in the future is demand. Someone actually saying, I need this to do stuff. That's the whole entire thesis beyond crypto. If you don't want, people don't just buy this for shit and giggles. Or actually, let me correct myself. The entire reason to buy crypto right now is for shit and giggles because you think someone's going to be stupider than you and then buy it at a higher price than you. That's the entire thesis behind it. But in the future, people are going to buy it just like they buy wood or lumber or gasoline. And that's going to drive the price to crazy levels. Chainlink is going to be one of the biggest gasolines in all of this. So the next one I would point out that I'm turbo bullish on is going to be Ondo because this ties into everything in an institutional finance. So all the things I just talked about, BlackRock and all the things I was talking about here, Ondo, head and shoulders is where you want to be with that. So that's another one I'm super duper bullish on. Another one I'm bullish on, I don't know if it falls into RWA, is reserve rights. So this is kind of like, works like a reserve currency or backup currency, and it puts it all on chain. I don't know if that technically falls in RWA, but I think this is going to be a huge narrative right now because we're looking at the big shift into institutional finance and government finance and banking finance. This ties straight into that. I also think XRP is going to do really well here because banks love it and it's a big banker coin and it's an absolute piece of shit. Insider cabal coin. And if banking is anything, it's insider cabal as f***. Now, if we're getting into the more mid-market coins, and one thing I want to point out in this video is this is still new. I'm doing a lot of research here. And my portfolio on this is not nearly as established as my portfolio in AI or gaming is. I know those like the back of my hand. This is something I'm really digging into. So this gives you a massive, huge opportunity to get into these a lot earlier than most people because it's really an unpioneered niche when it comes to all of crypto Twitter, all crypto influencers, and people in general. So if I'm going to start anywhere at the portfolio side, one thing I'm going to buy first off is going to be Zig Chain because these people or this chain is being made specifically around RWA and this narrative right here. And so the thing that's so cool about RWA right now is this is a layer one or this is a chain. Chains do crazy numbers. They reach billion-dollar market caps all the time. Because this is still new and it's still pretty much unheard of, Zig Chain is really super undervalued in my book. And as it's down 25, 30% and still at like a $100 million market cap, I think it's a big buy. Another one I'm looking at right here that's going to be huge in RWA is going to be Chintai. The thing that Chintai does is it's a platform that is going to allow you to manage a lot of these RWA assets. And so it's going to make the facilitation of creating your own RWA assets or portfolios or whatever that I just described possible. So this is going to be one of the really big ones on it. And so these platforms are going to allow people to do these things or where a lot of people are going to be creating their RWA asset portfolios. And so this is going to be essential to people doing that. So I think Chintai is going to be huge in terms of this. So another one that I'm really excited about, and you have to understand what I'm looking for in RWA is I want to look at big asset classes and I want to look who's going to be the leader of that or who's going to make the platforms or the chains that people are going to build their RWA assets on. Okay, so Crypto Oz is a really good example because they do this in cars, car rentals. I also believe parking. Obviously, cars is a gigantic, huge asset class. So the thing, again, this is a really good coin and it's only valued at like $15 million market cap right here. The FDV is a little high. I don't like that. Most coins that I get into, I really look for it to be equal to the market cap right here. That said, I don't think this FDV is going to be a problem at least for the next year. I think if we hit a bear market and this starts releasing, of course, it's going to be a huge problem, kind of like what we saw with Illuvium in the 2020 run. So the other cool thing about RWA right now is, again, it's still very new. We have the big ancient coins like Chainlink or whatnot, but like I showed you with autos, we still have a lot of coins still hitting the market that are fairly new. Or like Zig Chain, for example, it's still pretty undervalued when you're going to see a lot of chains hitting billion-dollar values. So two that are hitting the market that I think are going to be really good is one is called Priceless. It's basically doing what Autos is doing, but for art and collectibles, which is one of the best performing asset classes in the world. So it's going to help facilitate that and allow people to invest in that. And another one called OMG is another platform kind of similar to Chintai that will facilitate a lot of people being able to build their RWA assets and allow people to come on, create these portfolios, create these things people can invest in, and then go and pop them out there. And the final really cool thing about RWA coins is, like I mentioned with the houses or real estate, they're going to be able to deliver yield. So I think we're going to see a very different type of investing in crypto that's similar to almost like stocks. And I think in the future, a lot of people, instead of going to stocks or trying to get into real estate funds, which are a pain in the butt, you have to like get in deals, you have to sign a bunch of contracts. It's a shit show. They can just come in here and easily buy into real estate funds, art collectibles, whatever, like they're buying crypto coins or like they're buying fart coin, and then they can deliver yield, which is going to give a completely different asset class. This is why you see BlackRock and Larry Fink and everybody talking about how to do this, because it gives them a completely new way to sell and collect fees on all the assets that they have trillions of dollars worth of. So again, it's where all the giant money is going to be. It's not the most sexy niche out there. But as soon as the big money starts rolling the train link in Ethereum and we start seeing alt season, the narrative is going to shift to how do we turn the stock market in the blockchain? How do we turn our real estate portfolios in the blockchain? How do we turn these companies into blockchain? So people can invest here and we can go past all the waste and bureaucracy that is involved in normal asset trading. And this is why RWA is going to be huge, and this is what's going to pump the moon, and it's still wildly undervalued right now. So that's what I think is going on. That's my thesis, and that's why I got it out there, because what we're seeing right now is the same exact action and same exact type of behavior that we saw with Bitcoin before it did its turbo pump. All the big funds, all the big money, the president, the government, everybody is stacking Ethereum or looking into it, providing the regulations we're seeing are going to drive these to crazy prices. And then the narrative is going to shift to how do we convert all the things we do in normal finance to blockchain? And that is RWA. And it's going to be happening on Ethereum. It's not going to be happening on Solana or any chain that has an admin panel. People don't want that. With these $200, $300 transaction fees at volume, that's fine if you're doing something where it's like investing in a skyscraper. It's not fine if we're going and buying a meme coin. It's not fine if we're going and buying cheap NFTs. That's where Solana is going to dominate. I think it's going to be the leading chain for that. But for major transactions and holding assets like this, or for AI, I think Ethereum's just going to dominate. And the entire narrative is shifting over to Ethereum, which is going to trigger alt season, which is going to trigger these RWA coins pumping. It's going to trigger the AI coins pumping. And it's going to trigger pumps and all the other coins and altcoins that we talked about. And you should be aware of it because it's probably going to happen soon. That's the point of this video. I don't have anything else to say. Follow me on Twitter at @ZSSBecker because you'll see all of this way sooner. And this has been the video. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.